All right. It's like we've got a room. Excellent. Thank you all for coming today. I'm going to be talking about supercharging your content using data and AI. My name is Brian Pfeiffer. I'm the Director of Content Strategy and Assessment at the University of Rochester. I've been optimizing digital content since 1996, which just means I'm very old. So today we're going to be talking about, if you want to grab the slide deck or any of the templates that I'm going to talk about, any of the tools that I'll be talking about, you can use the QR code or get my slides.info. I'll also have this at the end of the presentation. So today we're going to be talking about how to use AI and data in your entire content process. So from ideation and targeting, not so much copy and paste creation at this point, onto distribution and optimization. But first, I want to start by talking about dinner. So, quick show of hands, how many people in here are involved in making dinner, shopping for dinner, figuring out what you're going to eat, right? Pretty much everybody.
Who's awake?
That's right. So, my wife and I have 6 kids between the two of us. So, we do a lot of eating. I'm the cook and the shopper. And so, invariably, Sunday night, what happens is we're all sitting around playing games or talking, and I say, okay, going to the store tomorrow, shop for the weeks. What do you want for dinner? You know what I get? Crickets. I mean, they don't want crickets for dinner, but right, I get nothing. I get silence. So then I have to spend my Sunday night figuring out what we're going to eat, figuring out what I can prep, kind of going through our list of like 10 regular meals that we use always, all the time. And so it takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of mental energy. So back when ChatGPT came out, I thought, now this might be a good use for this tool. So I went in and I said, give me some meal ideas for a family of 8 that are quick to prepare and healthy. And it came back with some pretty generic, uninteresting choices. So then I did what we do with these tools. And I talked to it. I gave it more information. I gave it more data, qualitative, quantitative data. We've got a pescatarian. I like to cook more kind of gourmet meals. The kids aren't very adventurous eaters. They don't like spicy foods. So eventually I got it to give me some pretty good ideas. So it helped me save a little bit of time. And then custom GPTs came out. Now how many people in here have used custom GPTs, know what custom GPTs are? Okay, all right, good. So basically they're just like mini models that you can train and personalize very easily. You do have to have the paid version of ChatGPT to do it, but it's worth the $20 a month just to help me with meal planning. So as soon as they came out, I went in and created the culinary creator. So basically, you just go in and you go into the instructions of it and you tell it all the information that you want to share. I tell it what appliances I have, what cooking styles I like. I tell it the methodology that I want to use with it. So first, I want to just brainstorm ideas. What are some different food ideas for the week for our family? And then I'm going to ask for the recipes. And by the way, give me a picture of what it looks like so I know what I'm going to be cooking. And then I want you to give me the preparation schedule so I can do like all the meals in under 30 minutes. What do I need to prepare ahead of time? And then give me the shopping list in the order that I shop. By the way, here's a map of the store that I go to and the order that I shop in. So now, Sunday nights, when I'm doing my meal planning,
It's back.
there we go, all right. When I'm doing my meal planning, this was for Christmas. So I just said, let's get all the ideas. Gives me the ideas, gives me the recipes, gives me pictures of the recipes, it gives me the preparation schedule, what I need to do ahead of time, and then it gives me the shopping list in order. So now on Sunday nights, I don't even ask anybody what they want. I go to ChatGPT, it takes me about 5 minutes to do my meal planning and prep for the week. So using these tools in my personal life has really helped inform how I can use these tools in business. So let's move on to that. So I've been keeping a list of all the different ways that I use these tools, all the different use cases that I do. And this is just like a part of the list. I have about 150 different use cases in this list. For work. I'm only going to cover a few of these today. But some of these are the most important ones, the most time-saving ones. I track how much time I save with each of these processes. In April, I did 3 months worth of work in 1 week. So when I told my boss that, she's like, we need to figure out how to integrate this into our entire team. So we create a lot of content. We need to research that content. Whenever I start doing research for any piece of content, I start with perplexity. If there is one thing I hope you take away from this this presentation today, this conference, start using Perplexity. Try it out. It has basically replaced Google for me, and I'm an SEO guy, so that's saying a lot. The thing I like about Perplexity is that it answers you conversationally, it makes it very consumable, and it pulls directly from the web, and it researches and cites all the sources, which is great because these tools will make things up. They will hallucinate, they will lie to you. So Perplexity is very good about citing the sources so that you can go and double check and make sure that everything is factual. That's where I start any content creation at this point. Then I move into the other LLMs. So I like to use ChatGPT, Claude 3, Hyperwrite, and what's the other? Oh, Gemini. And I'll usually run those all at the same time in 4 different windows and put in the same prompt because they give you different outputs. And I'll pick and choose what output I want to use from the different tools. Some of them do some things better than others, so it's good to keep experimenting. The models are always being updated. So now I've got an idea of what I want to create. I've done some research around it. Now we get into the real content marketing, right? Content marketing is all about focusing on your audience. So the best way to do that is personas, right? Personas are the imaginary friends of the marketing world. I love a good persona. Personas are time-consuming and resource-heavy to create. In higher ed, we have a lot of different people that we're talking to, a lot of different personas that we need to create. So we work with an agency to create like 3 kind of our fundamental core personas, but we have about 40 different personas that we need to communicate with. Personas are a great way to help keep your marketing communications team on track and focused about who they're talking to. These tools can do a really good job with the right data and the right prompt of creating personas. So I talked a little bit about the right prompt. So this is the prompt model that we use. It's Christopher Penn's race model. There's also a link to this on my Get My Slides Out info site. But basically you give the tool a role, you tell it what role you want it to play, then you tell it what action you're going to ask it to take, then you give it the context, all the data, all the qualitative and quantitative data, examples, whatever you can give it. The more information you give these models, the better output you're going to get from them. And then you ask it to execute. Now I mentioned data. In higher ed, we have a lot of data, right? You have to figure out what data is going to be the most useful for these models. So if we were going to create a persona for a potential undergraduate student, we have this common data set that's public on our website, so that means we can upload it into these tools without any worry about the data leaking out. So this gives a whole view into what our student body is made of, right? So great data to start with. So then we go to ChatGPT, we upload that data, we give it a role. You're a content marketing expert with an understanding of targeted marketing and audiences. Then we tell it what action we're going to ask it to take. I want you to create a user persona for a potential undergraduate student at our university. It can access the internet so it can go and look at your website. Then you give it the context, right? Look at this common data set. Look at our strategic priorities. Look at our about page to make sure that whatever students you're going to identify, whatever persona you're going to create is fit for our institution. And then you ask it to create the persona, please, and take your time. So it's been shown that telling these models to take their time actually produces a better output. And I always say please and thank you because when the robot overlords come and take us over, they might remember that I was polite to them. So, and then you hit enter. And then it comes back with this pretty good base level model persona. But then you ask more questions. You chat with these tools. All right, now we're going to get into real persona creation. Now, give me their strategic, the priorities for these individuals. Give me their barriers, their decision criteria, the user journey we want to take them through. Keep asking these questions. Keep digging deeper. And it comes back with pretty good output. And then, these tools are multimodal, so, now create a headshot. And now you have kind of a fully fleshed out persona that you could create a one-pager for, give it to your marketing and comms team and say, this is who we're targeting. Make sure you're focusing on their problems and priorities when you're creating content for them. Great. But we can do more with this. So now you can create one of those custom GPTs. So we created Potential Pat, the undergrad. We took all that data, all that information we got from the persona creation, we put it into the instructions, and now we can ask Pat questions. What do you think of our admissions page? Take a look at it. Tell us what you think. What other information should we include on there that'll help you make your decision? Is the language easy to understand? Would you like it laid out differently? How does it compare to our competitors' pages? What do they have that we don't have? You can even ask it questions like, where else would you go to learn this data? What other channels would you use? What other search methods would you use? And that leads us right into distribution. Because in this day and age, distribution equals discoverability. It's not enough anymore to just throw some SEO on your website and expect people to come find you, especially for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are searching differently. They're using social search. They're using communities like Reddit and Zine. They're using voice search. They're using AI search. So now we have to take our content that's on our website and figure out how to get it optimized on all the different channels they're searching for. But we're an IRA. We don't have the resources. We don't have the time. We're already overtaxed. How are we going to do this? These tools can help. So you can go into ChatGPT, you can figure out what your best performing content is on your website and say, I want you to make me a 30-second TikTok script out of this. And then you can go to one of your student social media interns and have them record that for you. Now you got a message delivered from a messenger within that audience that is targeted at that particular demographic. It also does a great job of coming up with other ideas for other channels. So you can turn that into social posts. Descript is a great tool for editing audio and video. So we can actually do things like heal audio. So if you've got a video recording that you did and you were interviewing someone and a truck drove by or the mic cut out or something like that, you can actually go into Descript, train it on a clean chunk of audio, and then just type in the words that the person was saying, and it will sync them up in their voice to their mouth movements within the video tool. You can force eye contact with the camera. So if you have someone that's reading off of a script or that's constantly looking away from the camera, it will force it to look like they're looking at the camera the whole time. You can dynamically remove filler words from conversations. Or, to make it more realistic, you can dynamically include filler words in the recordings. Opus Clip is a fantastic tool for converting long-form video into short-form video. So if we were recording this presentation in video, as soon as we're done, you can take the 20-minute presentation, throw it into Opus Clips. It will go through and dynamically, automatically figure out what the most critical, important elements from that video are. It'll pull those out. It will convert them from horizontal to vertical, and then it will dynamically put the text overlays on them. So within minutes, you can have 10 to 20 different clips that would be immediately ready to post on Reels or TikTok or YouTube Shorts. Runway is a text-to-video tool. These tools are getting much better. You just tell it what video you want it to create, and it will create it for you. This is great for B-roll. I wouldn't use it for primary video yet. They're still figuring that out. There's a lot of copyright issues, ownership issues, those sorts of things. But these tools are advancing quickly. And then HeyGen is a fantastic tool. This is an avatar creation tool. So you can take a video of yourself. I don't have permission to play this file. So anyway, I took a 1-minute clip of me just talking, and then I ran it through HeyGen, and I was able to immediately translate it into German, Spanish, Korean, and it syncs my voice with my mouth movements, saying those words dynamically. So very impressive. I wish I could show it to you, but I can't. So let's see. And these are now I'm speaking Korean. Very impressive to see me speaking Korean. All right, so let's talk about optimization. This is actually my favorite part. These tools do a great job of aggregating and analyzing data and pulling insights out of it. They also do a fantastic job with gap analysis. So I'm an SEO person. I love Google Search Console, right? Great data in there. I hate the interface. I hate trying to pull data out of Google Search Console, Looker, Data Studio, Google Search Console. So what I do is I take my Google Search Console and I upload it to Looker Data Studio. I connect it to Looker. So the template for this dashboard is at getmyslides.info. All you have to do is download that, make a copy of it, and connect it to your Google Search Console account. And you will get a list of all the keywords people are searching on to find your site. what pages those are leading them to, how many impressions those terms get online, how many times they're clicking through to your site, and what your average position is. So these are things you pay a lot of money for in like SEMrush and Ahrefs and different tools like that. Fantastic data to have. It can really give you a lot of insights. And it also exports all the data, whereas Google Search Console, if you do an export from that, you'll get like 1,000 or 2,000 results. So this has 949,000 results in this dashboard. I don't have the time to go through 949,000 results, right? So, right-click on it, export it as a CSV file, upload it to ChatGPT. You're a content marketing expert. Give me 20 ideas for content that we can create based on our strategic priorities, based on what words we're already ranking for, what phrases we're ranking for. Come up with related phrases and topics that we could use within our content to help us create more audience-focused content. Awesome. Gives you 20 ideas, maybe 5 of them are good. Awesome, just ask for 20 more. Eventually, you're going to get a nice breadth of content that you can get that's targeted and focused based on what you're already ranking for and where you already have relevance. So now what do you do with that? Well, you put that into potential Pat. Say, hey Pat, you're a potential undergraduate student. What content do you want? What from this list is most interesting to you? So really incredible opportunities with these tools. They can help simplify your workflows. They can help improve your efficiencies and your outputs. And the tools that we have now are the worst AI tools that we're ever going to use. So these tools are getting faster, smarter, better. The new model that ChatGPT just released is now like at a PhD level of output. And this is just like the sneak peek of this model. They're just using this as a test case right now. And it's kind of limited. You can't do a lot of things that you can do with the full version. So I'm always encouraging people, start playing with these tools now, because soon we're going to be able to automate entire workflows. We already have a bunch of our different custom GPTs strung together to simulate an entire workflow. So it'll go and it'll do all the keyword research for us. It'll come up with content ideas. It can help us figure out what content to put on what channels and how to target different audiences. It can look at different sections of our user funnel to figure out where we're weak and where we're strong and where our gaps are. So get my slides out info. You can download all the slides, templates, list of tools, everything there. I'll read that for a second. And that's it. So share your feedback on that with that QR code, and I'm glad to take any questions. I think we have 18 and a half minutes. Any questions? Yes.
We got a very basic one. So back like 7, 8 years ago, personas and all this strategic work would live in a cat somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's that or whatever. And then the best practice was to continue to look at that and look at that at the time. So this feels very fluid, which is cool, but how do you like capture it and organize the work to make sure everyone's dancing to the same music?
So that's a great question, and I just did this on last week. I was traveling to another conference. I'll tell you a little bit about this. So you can talk with ChatGPT. So I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with ChatGPT to work on a whole strategic plan and to figure out how to change the way that we were working from being so tactical to being more strategic, coming up with different workflows for our group and different checkpoints along the way. So when I was done, when we had this all worked out after this conversation back and forth, I had it output a Word document. So now that Word document, I go through and I clean it up, I make sure everything looks good and is right, and then we upload that to Box or whatever repository we go. So then that's where it lives and where it evolves. But you could also take that document, put it into the tool, and continue working on it in there. Now we also have ChatGPT Teams, which allows more collaborative workflows throughout our entire organization. So we can have someone from marketing come in and look at the tool. We can have someone from crisis comms come in and look at the output from that. And these workflows, we can automate a lot of these things right now with tools like Zapier and Make. So it will kind of jump from one process or one workflow to the next. But the next round of models that come out probably later this year are going to be able to automate a lot of those processes. So you're just going to tell the tool, When you're done with all this information, put it in this document or add it, integrate it into this document, and it will continue building that out.
Yeah, just a basic question. I was just wondering, how long did it take for you to train the custom to continue to provide quality output?
Great question. So how long does it take to train a custom GPT to provide high quality output? We are constantly going back to this model. So when we get output from them and we're like, oh, this doesn't seem right, or I want more information in this, we just go back to the model and we add that in. So it's a constant process, but really within, so like my meal planner, right? The first couple of times, the output was all right, the meals were okay. And even when I created the custom GPT, the first few times it wasn't quite working the way I wanted to. So it really depends on how quickly you need to get quality output. I have a strategy GPT that I use to bounce ideas back and forth off of, constantly iterating with that. But really within the first like 2 or 3 versions, I get usable output from it that is an incredible time saver.
So what is the best platform to learn GPT?
So yeah, I think ChatGPT is like kind of the best like all-in-one tool. There are different tools that will do different things, and I actually learned how to make custom GPTs by asking ChatGPT how to do it. I use ChatGPT as a tutor a lot of times when I need to learn a new process. I'll go to it, or I'll have a pretty good idea in my head, and I'll say, this is how I think it works. What am I missing? Or what else can I include in my process? I think it's just having that learning mindset and being open to knowing that, you know, as humans, we have gaps in our knowledge. Even in SEO, I've been doing it for too long. But I'm still learning things all the time. And I like going to these tools and saying, what else am I missing? Here's my strategy. Here's my ideas. Here's my workflow. What else can I include in it?
Thank you.
Yep.
Have you started using AI as well to analyze the performance, let's say, within your data?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have dashboards set up to show pre and post, like when we optimize a website, we'll have the dashboard that will kind of show performance changes since then. And a lot of times we can even take a screenshot of the dashboard sometimes and put that in ChatGPT and ask it for insights that we might not be recognizing or seeing, or ask it for opportunities that we might not be aware of. So yeah, it's great for performance analysis and monitoring.
How reliable do you think the output is? Because what I have seen is that if I have 2 tabs open of ChatGPT and I put the same data, I at times get 2 different answers.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things to remember with these tools is that they are probability generators. So they try to figure out what the next best word is. So every time it runs that calculation, it's going to dramatically change. I see having, 2 or 3 or 4 different outputs as a bonus, because then I can go through and I can use my expertise to say, this is good, I want this part, or this is bad, I'm not going to take that. And sometimes I'll put in a prompt and I'll run it and I'll say, okay, this is good, and then I'll just run it again. So sometimes I'll run the prompt 4 or 5 times and get what I want out of it. Sometimes I'll take the output from one tool and put it in another tool and have it give me, what's it missing, what do you think about this? So,
Okay, so I want to clear the Supercharge. Let's say, like when we put in our data, let's say our identification data, are we not like excluding our certificates, probably like our competitors, probably maybe they want the same kind of model, probably the suggestion is that giving us, we're not going to give them two like the competitors kind of.
So I'm sorry, your question is in competitive analysis?
The identification, are we not like putting our data in this, like,
Yeah, so are you talking about what data you put into these 2 models? Yeah. So absolutely, when you're using these public models, you don't want to put in any personal information, you don't want to put in any like business information. Any data that we put in is all public on our website data. Some of our content data is stuff that can be scraped by a lot of tools like where we rank and things like that, so we're not worried about that. We actually have an environment set up inside of our firewall so that we can actually upload with a medical system healthcare attached to us. So they have to have a very firewall closed off system that they can use, and then they can run ChatGPT queries within that environment, so none of that data gets out. I think I am at time for right now. So yes, I'm glad to take questions afterwards. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.